Cullen goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello. Hello.
Are we on?
We're on.
Oh, we are?
I mean, well, that's a matter of, opinion. Technically, we're on.
Now, with listeners, you can't see this. You see our lovely faces. But my dear host here, Miss Cullen, just took out of her satchel these baggies full of, you can show, these baggies full of mush. She has many of them. And this is a starter for Amish cake bread. And I refused to take one of these lovely
I said, here,
gifts.
feel this. Take it. You can have your own bread. And I said, here, smush it. Oh, it feels so...
It's
why do you think
effluvia.
that? I think that sensually, that's nice.
No wonder you don't have a husband.
God. What? I'll hit you with my effluvia.
She's a balabusta. That's a great Yiddish word for happy homemaker.
Oh, but I'm so not. Jess got me into this. She brought me one of these.
Oh,
and
you
I went off.
started it.
Then I went off on this thing. It takes 10 days where I made my
Are those
Amish
like
bread.
Hanukkah gifts?
And, and then you end up with 3 that you've got to get rid of. So I'm done with it.
Now, I have to ask you, what was that woman's name who was a great food, Irma Bombeck? Can you freeze this slop?
No.
Oh, you have to immediately
And you
cook
also
it.
can't refrigerate it.
Oh.
You have to just follow instructions.
Because
it comes
there's
with
yeast
instructions.
or something?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Can't
it kill
you
the
smell
yeast.
it?
I don't want to smell it or touch it.
I was sitting on the bus and I sat next to...
Oh, how nice. Ladies and gentlemen.
I sat next to this man, and all I could smell was this yeast that was sort of like, and I thought, oh, God, he's thinking, oh, my God, what is that? It's like yeasty, because yeast is not a pleasant.
Yves Saint Laurent, the autumn scent, 2012. The happy homemaker style.
Oh, God. I think
cooked bakeries turn many men on. Bakeries turn people on. So that man might have jumped your bones, dear. On number 46.
Oh. What is with you today?
Well, you brought that in. That was the catalyst.
I think some people call that friendship bread, don't they?
Oh, yes, the Amish always have names like that. And then they're the ones who put their children's feet under rocking, what do you call those things?
The runners of a rocking.
Yeah, and break their bones if they're bad.
What?
Oh, yes, yes.
You are so full of crap.
No. It was on TV, my dear.
Oh, well, then that
no, it
must
was an
mean
expose on, PBS or something. And he was saying all these, lovely Amish people and Mennonites. Oh, they're dreadful. This one girl supposedly had lied. So they put a nail in her tongue. Yes, harsh, mean people.
Do we have any Amish people out there who would like to counter this
But now, I don't think they can listen
generalized slander of the Amish community?
I don't think they can listen to the radio, can they?
Oh, maybe not. No, maybe if it's a
sign language.
If it's a crank thing. I mean, if it's not electric, if it's a
Let's listen to Lynn Cullen.
just keep cranking. Well, you could have, here's what you could do. You could have Granny in a rocker, and she could be rocking, which would then...
breaking the toes of her
which would, she could break toes of naughty children at the same time she's generating power.
Some of that disgusting mess.
No! You're not getting my picture at all.
I'm getting the picture.
Rube Goldberg contraption for the Amish.
Well, yesterday, you and your co-host maligned high society, and today we're gonna malign the Amish.
After that show, I thought, oh my God, I don't. But I'm sorry, I've always had that. We all have our
pet peeves,
our prejudices,
and
I know my prejudice is that, but my prejudice is these. The people who think they're better than me, and I just can't stand the whole crowd of them. And I have lots of people I love who are in that milieu, and I also know people who aspire to it.
That's the worst kind.
Oh God! But yuck. And I don't, the poor woman I never met her. I don't know. She might be a nice person. And anyway, we don't want to talk about this because you really...
was affiliated.
It just occurred to me, though, that, wow, so when you were the head of the Warhol, that was that upper crusty...
some part of it.
...crowd you had to
deal
with it. Well, you wouldn't be... You would be, you're no better than a Jew with that crowd. You're
I almost brought a fork with me today. When Chris said, Tom Sokolowski, he'd count the silver after he left.
That's right. You're like a lower middle class Polak, right?
Yes, that's
right. Well, jeez.
And I wear my babushka proudly. Yeah. Well, you say, yuck, we can transition there too. I was quite astonished and not pleased to see that there is a movement.
Afoot.
To make a statue to the former...
The mayor for a week, right?
The mayor for the week, Bob O'Connor.
Yeah, I saw that too and was somewhat taken aback. And by the way, now that I've said taken aback, I want to... This is one of my pet peeves.
Yes, please.
How most people, and it's regularly printed in the paper, and totally educated people say, I was taken back.
All right.
That's not it.
No, it's taken aback. Yes, right.
Aback. It's a different word.
Yes, right.
Aback is not back. Thank you.
Oh, well, the one I hate even more than that is when people say, I could care less.
Oh, I know. I could not care less.
But I mean, that is...
Well, if you think about it, right, it's of course, I could not care less.
I would say that 99.9% of the time people get it wrong. It's funny. I wonder how those things... I mean, I can see people making...
You see, but that's a different kind of snobbery, what we're employing right now.
No,
we're
not.
Engaging in.
We're saying...
It's a different kind. It's like, we're more educated than you. And if you say, I was taken back, ha!
Well,
Don't you think? I mean, I think a lot of...
It's improper English.
Improper. As it is to use the wrong fork at Toto's dinner table.
As reported by the city paper. Or not reported by the city paper.
Okay, we're going to try to be good. And that's probably...
Impossible.
Yeah, I give it up right now. Okay, so, by the way, in case you've never seen this, whatever this is, that's Tom Sokolowski, and he used to be the...
Director.
Thank you.
Well, you were losing it.
Well, I never can ever... Yeah, I always say the head because I don't know
the
director, the director of
Better than the ass. Yeah. There's that ass who was the director, yeah.
The director of the Andy Warhol Museum in its Were you the second director?
Third.
Third?
There were.
But you're the one who put it.
Well, I was the.
Excuse me. He put it on the map, as they
thank
say.
you. That's very nice.
Well, no, you did. There's
Well,
no doubt
thank
about
you.
that. You did. And and he's a
arbiter of public arts.
an
That
arbiter
takes
of
us
public.
back
Which brings
to-
us back. But I also want to say this about you,
Oh, thank you.
because somebody who you didn't know and probably wouldn't know, Beano Cook.
No, that was a sports
yeah,
person.
yeah. Beano,
Who died recently.
Yes,
yeah.
who died. He was. You would have actually gotten a kick out of this.
Well, I loved it. I listened to the show the day you mentioned.
He was a riot. He was so funny. He was smart as a whip and very, very funny. And he punctured the pompous all the time. You would have loved him. But I think I was bemoaning with Beano's passing, as we do when these characters pass, the lack of characters.
Yes, right.
I don't know what's happening. But you.
I'm a character. Yes,
You're
I suppose
one
I am.
of
Yes.
Pittsburgh's main characters now.
Well, that's something. I'll take
No,
that.
it's great.
No, it is. I think it's very much like when people say.
It's the flavor of it. It's
They were
the
t-
spice. It's the.
Where was this? They were talking. Someone on the radio, NPR.
It'd be all waspy white bread.
Yes,
Right?
Popey and bumpy and
Yeah,
sticky and
right,
dumpy.
with mayonnaise on
With
it.
mayonnaise, right. Condiments.
Ugh.
No, it's interesting. This woman was talking. She was from no. It was with the guy, the black guy. No, it wasn't the woman. It was what's the guy who plays Medea? That black.
Oh God!
Tyler
hey.
Perry. Tyler Perry, I think his name is.
yeah.
He was right. He doesn't have at all a Louisianan accent, but he said he never had one. But and what he said was, and I thought it was completely true. He said, we watch TV a lot, and TV, no matter where you are in the country, the weatherman may have a Southern accent or a Wisconsin accent, but the Ken doll and the Barbie doll
Cannot.
always have that California. So I think that's part of it. We deracinate language, and everyone, all of those local, colorful characters, they're not the top banana. They're like at the bottom
That's
of the
right. The
basket.
character. Well, they're the
Supporting,
character
yeah.
actors.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the and I want to tell you, when I was in theater school,
Yes.
I was told
Yes.
by none other than the great teacher Sanford Meisner that you will never be a leading lady, he said. And I thought, well, fine. I'm thinking under my breath. And then it turned out he was complimenting me. He said, you clearly will be a character actor. He said, and let me tell you, those are the best roles. You will have the longest career. He said, girls of your age always want to be the ingenue, always want to be the... He said that's fleeting.
Sure.
And those are insipid parts.
Right.
And and it's true.
Yeah,
it's
no,
the
it's really true.
character actors that get the meat.
Well, it's funny. I thought of that once. Well, she was more than a character. She certainly was a lead. But, the very young Lucille Ball was
Yes.
very beautiful when you see
Well,
pictures.
she was a high fashion model.
Well, right. And yet, she became famous by being this wacky character actress comedienne. Because her beauty would have faded, as everyone's does. But it was those wacky things. And you remember Vita Vita Vegemin.
God, what an amazingly talented woman that woman
Oh,
must
she was
have been.
extraordinary.
I mean, she had it all. She had beauty, brains, business
Oh,
acumen.
yeah. And 2 husbands.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gary
Desi-
Merrill was the second.
For many, many, many years. Well, I think till
After
she died.
Desi.
And Desi. For,
And actually, by bringing Desi onto 1950s television, she brought
really diversity.
the first sort of
Latino.
the first Latino in a starring role.
although they certainly, when you look
They made
back,
fun of
I mean, he
yeah,
was always
his
the
accent.
spick,
Yeah,
with
right.
his.
Now, you used a word, and I just want to back up and
Yes.
have it defined for people, because it's a word you
Balabusta.
do not hear. No.
Oh.
What does balabusta mean?
Like happy homemaker.
Oh, yes, you just said happy homemaker.
But it usually, though, means, at least the way I understand it from Leo Roston, the happy homemaker who is so vigilant about her cleaning and whatever that if you dare put a dirty footstep, she'll break your nose. And then that got elided in English to ballbuster.
Ballbuster. Is that where ballbuster
Yeah, I'm
comes
sure.
from?
Balabusta,
You're
but
sure. Well,
I'm
just
positive.
because I don't know. Okay,
But
you
anyway.
used a word that I never hear.
Which is?
You said deracinate.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it mean?
Well, to sort of take basically to take the race out of it, but in other words, to make, like you could say, if
How did you?
Desi Arnez spoke with a Boston accent, you'd sort of deracinate the fact that he was a Latino. But
Okay.
by speaking in his, and I don't think he spoke that way from what I know, it just played up the sort of shtick that he
Yeah.
was, that all people who are Latin speak with, like, Rosé, you know.
You okay?
Lucy,
Yeah, no, I don't know. All of a sudden,
I was, remember you used to say, Lucy McGillicuddy, because our name was McGillicuddy or something, but McGillicuddy. I think there's a lot of those shows I could word for word give you all the punchlines. Are you tired? Do you poop out at parties?
Oh, yeah.
There's everything for you. This little bottle. Vita
Vita
Vegemin.
Vegemin.
It has meat, vegetables, minerals.
That's before she started.
It's so
drinking it.
tasty, too.
Oh, let's don't. Oh, that is the funniest.
That is one of the
the Vita Vegemin. Oh God.
Now, you listeners, you have to be over 50 to know
No,
it.
do you not know it? No, see, no,
Oh,
Jess
sure.
knows it.
But it's never. Oh, the wine stopping.
my son knows it.
Okay. But I mean,
We had a Vita Vegemin magnet on my.
Oh, really?
on the-
How
yeah. Oh,
fabulous.
yeah. You know, you'd be surprised. Those great old. My kid, when he went off to
College.
back to college this semester, took my Marx Brothers collection.
Oh, okay. Well, that really goes back, yeah.
And that goes way, way back. But he loved them as kids, and he's still clearly.
But, you know, it's
thinks
interesting. The reason I guess I
great
said
stuff.
that is nowadays, I mean, for many, many, many years, you'd find on some channel, I Love Lucy, but I don't think that's been on syndication anywhere for years.
Oh, I'm sure it's out there.
Maybe, but not
I'm sure it's out there. Actually, I think two of the best sitcoms that ever existed were I Love Lucy and The Honeymooners.
Oh, yeah, right.
And everything that's come after it.
And what was really interesting about them was the fact of, even though Desi Arnaz was a band leader in real life and as well as on the show, they were, lived in almost cold water flats. So they weren't glamorous people.
Right.
And that's interesting. And nowadays, almost everything from soap operas to sitcoms, except for really All in the Family, they're all about people who are
Is that true?
glamorous. I'd say preponderantly, wouldn't you, Jess? Well, that people, they're not on these shows.
They don't have lower
they're
class,
all,
working class people as major sitcom. They're all at least middle.
King of Queens.
King of Queens.
Well, maybe a few. But,
That's the only one I can think of.
And not to mention Honey Boo Boo.
Boo Boo, yes.
And by the way, if you send me any more of that crap, I'm going to stick your email on my spam.
Oh, all
filter.
right, I promise.
Stop it now. I happened to watch this last thing. This was a Honey Boo Boo and her mother appearing on a morning talk show in Los Angeles. And you know what? First of all, I would have killed the kid. I would have killed the kid as a brat, obnoxious brat. I would have. I was also thinking that the mother, first of all, is smart. That mother.
Oh, no, I've not seen
That
any
hick
indication.
mother is smart.
Well, she's getting $10,000.
That's why she's smart. She's engineered this whole thing, and she knows that she's part of that people are laughing at her, but she's laughing all the way to the bank.
Right.
And that's why there was a little clip I saw of her, like she just scratched all of a sudden. She said, "Scratching my fleas," and that's smart.
Yeah, no, true. I
No,
won't
she's
give it.
smart. That's the smart cookie.
Yeah.
Oy, God.
See,
but
you've been bit. All right, fine, I'm
cease
fine.
and desist. And that child is already a monster.
Yeah.
Will grow up to be a horrific monster. And the child is being exploited, is being abused. The reason the kid was acting up, she doesn't want to be on that stupid show.
Well, because probably.
But she's making millions for her.
Well, I don't know about millions,
Parents.
but she's making
Said
money.
it, too.
Oh.
Did you hear her say that?
No.
She said that her money is paying for rent.
Oh, so Honey Boo Boo said my money's paying the rent? Well, she knows it, so whatever.
So maybe she's smarter than we think,
Disgusting.
too.
Well, yeah, right. We're the idiots.
True.
Who
To
enabled
watch it. No, it's true.
Okay, so you stopped.
Schadenfreude.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We're going to take a
Yes.
break, and then we're going to go back to whatever it was you were attempting to have us actually talk about today. You realize that you can't even remember.
Public sculpture.
Art, essentially.
All right,
Public
fine.
sculpture. Because there is, and I was surprised to see it too in the paper today, there is an effort to raise the funds to have a statue of Bob O'Connor, who was a Pittsburgh City Council person and who was elected mayor after failing to be elected mayor, I think twice. He finally did it, and then tragically, 1 month in, died. And his...
No, 6 months. It was about 6 months.
Oh, I thought you said one.
No,
Oh,
6
so
months.
6 months?
I think so, yeah.
What's all this?
It's part of your Amish
Oh, it
friendship
is. It's
cake.
all over my pants. What is that? Okay. Excuse us for a moment.
We sound like Honey Boo Boo, don't
Email
we?
your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Pittsburgh City Paper's Best of Pittsburgh 2012 is available now. Over 100 pages of the best restaurants, clubs, bands, bars, and everything else that makes the Burgh the city of champions. Pittsburgh City Paper Best of Pittsburgh 2012, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a pep talk that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You can improve your future. Now get your game face on and take the first step towards a better life. Hurry up. Don't make me repeat myself.
Whatever level of motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Call 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or visit yourged.org for your pep talk and for free classes in your area. GED is a registered trademark of the American Council on Education, brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
She's our Honey Boo Boo. Anyway.
Well, she identifies with her.
Well, I have to say, this is the last thing I'll say.
Okay, and we're
That
on,
In,
so
the,
you
in
know.
the newspaper the other day, whatever it was, that's when I sent it to you, there was this little photo of her, and it
Of
looked
Honey
a
Boo
bit
Boo.
like
it
your
did
laugh.
Look like
See?
no, it looked like Jess. I have to admit. So when you say you
Long-lost
identify with her,
cousin.
right? I can see where.
baby.
Yeah. Jess, you want to show yourself on camera so people can see? Yeah, there is a. I hate to say this, a Honey Boo Boo-esque aspect.
Demeanor.
Take your glasses off and look Honey Boo Boo-ish. You do. Come here. So when Jess looks at Honey Boo Boo, she back off because I can't see your face. Look at the monitor. Smile. Yeah, you look a little like Honey Boo Boo.
Got $1, make you holler.
But when you first saw her pictures, you thought, "Geez, that's what I look like when I." Yeah. Well, so she's
blushing.
All right. So, just last word on Honey Boo Boo, and then I never want her name spoken again on the show, even though it was I who brought her up today. Laura writes, "Don't you feel bad for Honey Boo Boo?" Well, in as much as it's child abuse that she's being exploited, yes. Imagine years down the road, she's a brat, and I would never want my child or grandchildren to ever look like that. Mother is smart, but still, yes, they are monstrous. Hey, this is America, man. You know, I mean, this is America. They're living the dream.
Well, and there was that case. What was the woman who was overweight?
They found a product to sell.
Who was the newscaster somewhere, and she had this
in Wisconsin, yeah.
And she screamed at whoever was called her fat. And,
yeah. Well, she was nothing like.
Oh no!
This woman
she was
truly
chubby,
frighteningly
but she
obese.
wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing now. The serious thing about Honey Boo Boo is that the sad part of it is she's this chubby little girl who's vulgar, etc. But I mean, what is that saying, especially in this moment when even the First Lady has this campaign against childhood IBs and whatever. I mean, it's like, ooh. Well, that's frightening. Actually, I should talk. I'm overweight, but that's
Who
frightening.
isn't?
Well, that's
Every one
it's
of us
really true.
is.
When you go
There's
to
not
Europe,
a person in this room that's not overweight. Is that true?
No,
that's true.
Jess
We all
is
agree.
not
Yes, she
overweight.
is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she is.
Well,
pleasingly overweight. Yeah, you know,
Yes,
right, right. You know,
but
looks
you like
good on you.
Well, if
baby.
you stop eating those Amish cakes.
Yeah, that's true. That is true, man.
But all these stick. I mean, I think I remember when at its very height. Thank God, it seems like it's pulled back. But there was this one fashion campaign, and these girls, these models, just looked
anorexic.
No,
they
and
look
the
skeletons.
makeup was done to intensify.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Like the Night of the Living
Well, that was
Dead.
called heroin chic.
Yeah, right. No, I remember
Sickening.
that. I remember when this was in the 70s.
And I bet you at the Warhol Museum actually did stuff with it. I bet you did.
No.
I bet you did.
What do you mean? In what sense?
Oh, I don't know. At one of your disgusting parties.
Oh, I see. No, I was on that line. When I was in graduate school in the 70s, Bloomingdale's department store was the chicest place.
That when I was in theater school, it was the chicest place. That's right.
And I remember one of the windows when Heroin Chic was in had a toilet and the model's head in the commode in the window. And there was like all blood on the... Oh, it was disgusting. But everyone wrote about it. Everyone saw it. Bloomingdale's was great. I mean, this has a sort of historical footnote. I remember you'd go in there and they would do these promotions. Like all of a sudden, someone would let a duck loose on the main floor, and the duck was scared out of its mind, squawking, and everyone was screaming and yelling and laughing. And then the duck, it turned out, was trained and went and sat on someone's head.
I never saw any of that.
Oh, it was wild.
It was close to my theater school, so I
was going to ask you to go back to that. What was your most famous role as the...
I wasn't
No, but did you not have a bit of a
Did I
career?
never act?
Yeah.
No, the minute I finished the school and they said, go out and act, I said, huh?
I didn't realize that.
I was a lost, bewildered soul. The idea that I would act, I was just hanging there at the school. I was just, everybody has to be someplace. That's just where I was.
You should have been like, what's her name? Betty Grable sitting on a stool of traps.
No. And I just, it was not my idea to go there. It was somebody else's idea. And I was so bewildered a human being at that point in my life that when somebody said, go to that school, I said, okay. And off I went.
But in a funny sense, part of your great talent and charm is how you can mimic and put on these voices and just take on a character even when you're talking government. That's my favorite one of yours. The government, or however you say it.
I don't know. You know what I did as soon as I graduated from that school? I just panicked when they said I didn't know what to do next. So I panicked. And I got married. I got married.
Interesting.
That's exactly what I did.
Interesting.
I panicked, got married, and ended up on a pig farm.
Sic transit Gloria Mundi.
And you look at the transit of your life, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. The pig farm was one of the neatest places I ever lived. The acting school was a wondrous experience. Yeah. Everything that happens to you is
it's part of what makes you
part of what makes you. All
and now you're
experiences
sitting next to moi.
And now I'm sitting next to toi.
Yes.
Okay, can we get to the Bob O'Connor statue?
You went got out.
I hope you guys don't mind us taking a break from the
memory lane
horrors of politics.
Yes.
At least presidential politics, because I've had it myself. Right. And I know we got a lot of political junkies in the crowd, but, guys, I don't know how you
I wish we were voting tomorrow.
Oh, God, yes. I wish we voted 5 weeks ago.
Well, 5 months ago. I was very funny. There was something on this in the paper. No, it was on a Huntington Post, I think. And this person was going on how wonderful it was that we have literally 2 years of politicking. And I thought that is the biggest crock.
Yeah, it's not wonderful because then nothing gets done. If the politicians are in politicking mode, are in electioneering mode, then they're not doing their job.
Well, I thought it was funny, the one line that Romney got in at some place was where he said, and there were other reasons for it, but nevertheless, when all the world leaders were in for the United Nations, what's his name was on Oprah. he chose to go on Oprah.
Obama.
And
you say what's his name? That would be the president.
Yes, the president. That's just a filler word. But the point is, you want to say, really, you didn't have time for Putin. You didn't have time for Oprah. I mean, and they both do it. But I mean, that was a bit of telling.
Whatever.
And the people who watch Oprah vote.
Hey, and there's all these brilliant young people from all over the world in town.
Yes.
And I saw a whole group of them walking when I got off the bus. I could tell they were because they were coming from the convention center and they had things on and they looked foreign. And I was thinking, gee, I'd like to talk to them. I also wanted to, just say, welcome to Pittsburgh. I wanted them to have a sense of happy people here.
Yinzer.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So if you see any of those folks, give them a big
there was a little piece in the paper, if some of the listeners read it, or if they haven't yet, about there are 100 or so dinners that are happening. Actually, I'm co-hosting one on Saturday.
Oh, you are? You're co-hosting?
Someone's asked me, and they just give you a list of people, and they tell you if some of these have certain, like, halal or other kind of...
you might have to be kosher or vegetarian. They're all, because these kids, they're all under 30, and they're from all over the world.
Yeah, I think it's like 18 to 27.
These are young world possible leaders and arts
already leaders, because I think in order to be invited, I think you pay, number one. But
what is it? It's a youth summit, World Youth Summit.
It's the third one. It started out in Britain. I think the first one was in Britain last year, was Zurich, and now America, Pittsburgh. And these are all people who have already shown not only interest, but have done things for health, for environment.
So these are pretty
in their
pretty
home
amazing
country.
young people.
These are people, and the whole notion is it's the best kind of networking, because maybe a problem in Belgium that's been solved with drug addiction.
Well, how many future presidents and prime ministers are walking the streets today here in Pittsburgh? Global leaders. Mm-hmm. So, what did you know? What you're feeding your guests? Because they were talking about
we're going to meet tonight and decide.
You are,
but it's not. I think it's like 12 people. It's not a mob. Because I guess they want a sense of intimacy, not just 500 people in the.
And the assumption is that everybody speaks English as usual.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I was going to say yes, but Zurich certainly, it's a German-based country. I bet there's probably simultaneous translation, but I would presume.
I'm surprised I wasn't asked to host one of these events, and I could have given them my Amish bread.
And take home one of those bags.
That's true Americana, and I would have given every one of them.
Could you imagine getting to the airport with that?
What?
Lady, what's that? Is that liquid nitroglycerin? I'm serious on that, really.
Okay.
Wait, you said something, though. Oh, well, I think probably English is, and not for any reasons of presumption or arrogance on my part. I mean, English is the international language now. So
no, that's true.
I would presume
it's
that
the language everyone's supposed to know.
That the majority, although there are people from third world countries, and that's not saying there aren't smart people in third world countries.
No, but any of these people
would be
speak
people
English.
Exactly.
They speak English. Ed's having trouble listening to us live. Chris writes, I agree with you on everything that you said about Lucille Ball, but I always wondered why women like that, who seem to have it all, smarts, beauty, good business decisions, pick men who cheat on them and then they stay with them. I know she eventually left Desi, but she was no dummy. She knew what he was up to for years. How can you be that smart but so dumb when it comes to men?
What's interesting about that?
Well, I disagree with that. I mean, it's not that I disagree. That's true. But
you never know the inside of
you don't know, and
you
don't know. Sometimes women like this, the man they have is, for them, there's all kinds of things that Desi might have given her that was important to her.
And she maybe wanted to wear the pants, to use that old...
And you know what? And nobody else knew.
No.
I mean, the thing is, I remember when, Clinton... And the women who would say, how could she stay with him? How did you leave him? And blah, blah, blah. People don't understand.
Yeah, right.
I actually think those two are very much in love.
Well,
my guess, very much in love.
Interesting to this.
He's got a little problem in that and a lot of men have this problem, especially if they're powerful men. They can have any damn woman they want. If they've got a healthy libido, it is pretty damn tough to avoid it. He always went for trash, which was no threat to her.
Yes,
in
right.
any way.
Exactly.
A threat to her would have been an emotional attachment to a woman or an intellectual attachment to a woman.
Well, you know, it's very interesting.
Not a sexual one. Who cares where he sticks his schlong?
Yeah, there's a book that just came out called Full Service, and it's about a man who owned a gas station in Hollywood. And it's very raunchy. Someone sent it to me. But in it, he talks about that he would serve as a pimp for both men and women, and gay
in
and
Hollywood.
straight. And Lucille Ball once came in and slugged him for finding
women for
prostitutes for him. Yeah.
You know, you don't know. Everybody makes bargains in their relationship.
That's absolutely right.
So it has nothing to do with her being smart. It has to do. You have no idea what that woman's emotional needs were,
exactly.
And you don't know if, in fact, he met them very well for some time. Who knows?
Except what's interesting
we don't know. I mean, God.
Well, what's interesting, though, the little we do know was that Gary, whatever his name
Merrill.
is. No, not Gary Merrill. That was the actor. Gary
that was
Morton.
Her.
No.
Oh, you're right. Gary Morton. It was Morton.
Morton, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she maybe stayed married to him for like 30 years or something.
Yeah.
And he, from what everyone said, was very much behind the scenes, was very stalwart and what have you. So it seems she maybe learned something from the Latin, dashing Latin, rampant goat.
I just... people who, you know, we all make mistakes. We all have our flaws. And it's for the two parties involved to make the bargain. Sure. Has nothing to do with us at all.
Exactly.
And we can make suppositions till we're blue in the face, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Bill and Hillary Clinton, whatever they've got, it's worked well for both of them.
True.
They both were very ambitious. They both got what they wanted.
Yeah.
They raised a daughter. They seemingly, well-adjused together. They've lived a fascinating life. They don't seem unhappy. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Now we've turned into today. It's the Dr. Phil show.
Anyway.
Or Dr. Ruth, maybe a little bit of each.
Okay, Chris, I'm not even going to read what you said about Honey Boo Boo because I refuse to talk about it anymore. Bob O'Connor. Okay, here's the deal. They want to put a statue of Bob O'Connor on this island, Traffic Island, I guess that's called.
I guess,
it's on the Boulevard of the Allies as it snakes through Schenley Park into Squirrel Hill. And, right?
That's what I thought.
Yes, that's where it is. And the day after every election, when he was reelected to the city council, because I would take that road, he would be out there all day and with some of his family and supporters with a big sign saying, thank you. And it was a thing. You just expected to see O'Connor and as far as I knew, I never knew another politician who sort of did that, who thanked the people who elected him the next day like that in such a public way. But it was very O'Connor-esque.
Very homespun. And he also apparently, although I never saw him there, I guess stood on the corner of Forbes and Murray and did the same thing. At any rate, his son, who's now got his council seat, and who also, by the way, when he won, was out there the next day carrying on the family tradition, saying thank you. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No. They want a statue of Bob O'Connor doing, I guess, that. To be placed there. The mayor is behind this. Apparently, it'll cost about $200,000. And this is the part that got me. They're going to raise private funds, but it also said public funds. And that's where I got my backup.
Right, exactly.
Okay, because here's what I want to say. Bob O'Connor was a nice guy. I don't know. I was never wild about him as a politician. How many mayors have there been in this city?
58, I think.
There have been 58 mayors. How many of our mayors have a statue?
One that I think of.
One that I can think of.
Other things are named after people,
right,
like the convention center. Or
is named after David Lawrence, but there's no statue of probably the greatest mayor of the city, David Lawrence. There's
or
only
Tom Murphy, who did amazing things.
Well, there's not going to be one of him because no one particularly liked him.
Right, but the part of this, you, in my opinion, the reason you have public art about someone or something
is people who made an
impact,
a huge impact. You don't just put up statues because
Milton Berle. I mean, you put them up of major politicians, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Eisenhower, or whatever. Well, they still haven't finished his. I guess that's stupid debate over that. But
I just, come on.
But let's. I mean, I will be frank and say I was not very fond of Mr. O'Connor, but we'll leave it at that. But Pittsburgh liked schmaltz, and he very much was schmaltzy.
He was Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But he's already had Schenley Golf Course named after him.
And he was only a mayor for,
He was a mayor for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He's been honored in his neighborhood with that wonderful golf course in that wonderful setting, in that wonderful park. And how much more are you supposed to do, for God's sake?
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, if the family and the friends want to do it, and the city allows it being placed on public land there in the... I don't have a problem. Fine.
And it'll be a perch for birds.
A perch for birds. You can dress him up for Halloween and do all kinds of stuff. But
like Dippy.
Yeah, but public money?
Well, the only thing I was thinking when you said about maybe in terms of public money would be for the plinth or whatever,
Well, no, let them get their own plinth.
Sorry.
And speaking of plinth, that's one of those things that most people don't know what it is either. A plinth would be the stand,
the pedestal or whatever.
The pedestal.
Yes.
Plinth.
I just remember that similarly. I don't know if you remember. You remember Carol Channing? I think she's still alive. I think she was 150.
I think she is too.
But she used to do this hilarious routine of a woman whose name was Cicely Sissum, and who had a gap between her teeth, and she'd whistle. Cicely Sissum. It was hilarious. I haven't thought of that in years. No, but she's got to be 100.
Yeah, she does. I think she's still going. I really do think she
Hello,
is.
Dolly.
So, as for the O'Connor statue, fine, okay, but not one penny of public money as far as I'm concerned. Sorry. Makes no sense.
No.
It just makes no sense.
We don't need a Schmendrick monument.
Now, just listen. What, was he not nice to you?
No,
yeah.
You don't want to,
okay.
No, you don't want I don't like his politics and all this, but one of the things we used to do at the Warhol Museum, which did not always involve kinkiness, was we had twice political debates for the mayors.
Okay.
And, I was the interlocutor. And I remember the time, he ran, it would have been, the second time, and Tom Murphy was there. He was there, Cyril Wecht was there, and then this kid, I think from where some kid was running. He wasn't going to be...
I know. Josh...
something or other.
I'm blanking, yes.
Anyway.
Nice Jewish kid.
Yeah, nice Jewish kid. They were prepared, and then O'Connor comes up. He had, prepared for 1 second. Because I would say, what do you think about the arts? What do you think about education? What do you think... And I finally said, Mr. O'Connor, don't you have prompters? Don't you have people who go through you? He couldn't answer a question. I was shocked how ill-prepared he was.
And as interlocutor, you felt you should say
I was better than Jim Lehrer was at the first debate. No, I had questions. And I said,
Really? So
what do you think about, the Parkway East being repaid?
And
it was really shocking.
You were shocked.
Shocked. And I mean, Murphy got up there and he was stunning, of course. And the kid knew. You expected he was a bright Jewish kid. And he knew he had to sound smart because otherwise
Because he was
mocked.
18 years old.
And Cyril Wecht, of course, blabbed all the way. But another one of my non-favorite people. But no, I was shocked that someone to run a city was so dumb.
Okay, so that was your sense. I don't think he was a rocket scientist myself. But he was
more like a paper airplane scientist.
He was an awful good on the street backslapping pal. He was. People just loved him. What do they call it? The retail politics. He knew how to do that.
I would want to put him in the same room with Nikita Khrushchev, would you?
Well, he wasn't running for president.
No, I know, but, he wiped the floor with Kennedy, let alone... And he wasn't even speaking English. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, that was scary. Those were the scary years.
Or also the other one when he was in... I loved seeing the tape of it years ago, the so-called kitchen debate, when Kennedy was in... No, Nixon was in Russia for some World's Fair thing. In the American Pavilion, there was like an up-to-date American 1950s kitchen, with a dishwasher and all that. And Nixon was going on about this, and that was when Khrushchev was mean, or appearing mean, and he was just saying, we don't need this. Our women know how to wash floors, and we don't need these modern conveniences. And Nixon was he thought, we're bringing America to the world. It was hilarious.
Melanie writes, and I'm also excited about the One Young World events. I'm not sure if the 100 hosted dinners are arranged by Global Pittsburgh, but Global Pittsburgh does this kind of thing year-round. You can sign up to be a host for dinners and or homestays. I could. There goes my Amish bread. Anytime, like when international students and professionals come to Pittsburgh. And so she's got. If you want more information on what's going on with that, it's globalpittsburgh.org. Okay.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Thanks, Melanie. That's the.
When I was leaving the museum, we were going to try to do something, and things changed. But to have like a Sunday night supper once a month, and just like invite anyone who wants to come, and it'd be $10. But one would do that and would focus on like the Serbian community here, the new Serbian community, or the new Somali, and just to sort of have some of their food, partly in a way like the Conflict Kitchen that was there. And
it's still there.
No, closed.
Oh, right.
They want to find a place downtown.
Okay.
Which I think will be much more interesting because there, there's lots of students, but here you're really going to get downtown a critical mass and much more aggregate mass, I think, than what you'd get in
the Conflict Kitchen was a place that would serve. They really had just one thing on the menu, but it was a food.
It was like the equivalent of the American hamburger.
Okay, whatever for whatever. They would take a place in the world that was embroiled in
with the U.S.
conflict with the United States that we have a negative idea of. And they would have the equivalent of their hamburger, and they sold it out of a window. Did you ever go?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was just...
Yeah,
and
it was interesting.
It
was just a little window, but it was sort of like a food truck. But it was interesting. They'd paint a sort of arch, the facade that was out around this window, in the calligraphy of the country, because none of them were English speaking or even Indo-European, I don't think. And then they would give you information about the conflict.
Well, they wrapped the sandwich.
In that.
They wrapped the sandwich in this paper that did have information on it about the people, the conflict. It is a wonderful.
Well, what was interesting about it is, and I think this is really important, it connects to our art discussion.
Okay.
Is that it was the genius of a professor from the art department at CMU named John Rubin, and it was a whole way of making an artwork where through food you would engage people in discussion, just like standing next to that proposed statue of O'Connor or whomever it could be, and saying, well, what do you think about this? You know, do you think he deserves it? Is it a good monument to him? I mean, just like people say, as much as people love Fred Rogers, but that awful sculpture doesn't do him any good justice, nor is it good art. But what's interesting is that the Conflict Cafe was the outcropping of its neighbor,
the waffle,
just adjacent.
The waffle.
Yeah, it was a waffle shop, and it was open odd hours, usually late at night.
Yeah.
But what they would do is they learned, because they had to learn, the students had to learn cleanliness and all the food restrictions that any restaurant has, and the waffles had to be tasty or no one would go.
Yeah.
But then they'd have people come and they'd do set-up comedy or just serious discussions. And again, it was through food this created a kind of dynamism, which is what art is supposed to be.
Right. I was there once being interviewed about food. And, you know, you're sitting there being interviewed and but there's people...
just eating.
It was strange. But yes, that was in the same building as the Conflict Kitchen's little window. Yeah, it's fascinating what sort of imagination and creativity can do. The sort of mixed with politics.
Well,
I mean,
but it's going to the people. Like, for example, I know there was another group, I think this started out in England, but then a variant of this was in New York City, where this group of people, there'd be 6 or 7, would get on a bus, crowded bus in midday Manhattan, and then all of a sudden one of them had a pitch pipe, like you have, and they were all professional singers and would start like a little opera on the bus, and you're sitting there with your paper and
wonderful.
How are you today, Mrs. Jones? The next person starts singing.
Love it.
But again, it's bringing art to the people.
I love it.
Because people do not necessarily want to go and schlep to the Carnegie or the World Museum or the Phipps Conservancy, but if it's in there where they eat lunch, because you have to eat, or on the bus, it really is in the agora, the marketplace. That's where what's his name? Socrates used to go and teach, because that's where everyone was.
Right.
In the perfume shops, particularly. So maybe now if we had Socrates today, he'd be at the Coty boutique at Nordstrom's.
Why were they all at the perfume shops? Because everybody smelled?
But that's where like all the good, cute young boys were, because Socrates, on that level, that business of pederastia, but in a good sense.
Would you have liked to have lived in that Greece?
Well, no. The only reason I'll say that is the one thing that people always say, historians always say, is any period outside of our own, we never could have bared the smell.
The smell of it. No, I know that's true. My
Even
brother
the 19th
always said
century.
that to me. Right. You would not be able to stay. If you were to walk into Pittsburgh, right here, walk down on Smithfield Street, but make it 150 years ago.
Right.
The smell of the horse
manure,
the smell
people smelled.
Of the
there wasn't
people.
Dry cleaning.
There wasn't dry cleaning. People wore the same clothes day after day after day. The soot of the mills. You would gag.
Right.
You would not be able to breathe. It's true. I always said, beware of time travel.
Oh, sure.
Because I think you'd have a better chance, wouldn't you? No, that's not true. I was going to say before the Industrial Revolution. No.
There still smells.
No, the court of, think of Versailles with, all of those powdered and, fancy and the unbelievable. It stunk.
Well, that's why they had those
stank.
Yeah, stank. They had those pomanders that looked like an Easter egg on
they were always like...
Yeah, because the smells were so terrible. Because those hairdos, it took 6 days to put them up, so they would just get constantly lacquered over, and then bugs
you can't
would crawl in
imagine.
them.
You cannot imagine.
Now, to go back to your question, one thinks particularly 5th century Athens, Periclean Athens, when so many of the values of our current society were first created, would have been, I think, an exciting time. But they had slaves. Women did not have the position that they have today. So even in those periods.
Right.
But then I suppose if you're living on the hill in terrible poverty today, you're not exactly having a great time either.
'Tis true.
So, every period. But I do think the smell thing would be...
That would be the killer.
Well, and hygiene, and health issues. I mean, because no matter how...
Everybody had rotting teeth if they had teeth. The bad breath alone would have knocked you flat within a second.
Thank God for Dentine. No, but it's true.
It's true. No,
it's
I know
absolutely
it's true. You could not survive. We could not have survived. Okay, listen, I got to take a break. Okay. Real quick.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and the top Halloween attractions in Pittsburgh. This week, get discounts on the Scare House, Terror Town, and Pittsburgh Opera's Don Giovanni. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's e-commerce mall. bergbargains.com.
Whoa, okay, go. Okay, I'm going. Actually, I think I am going to the Harris Theater tonight for the Real Q showing because there's a documentary of my friend Vanessa German. And then Vanessa will be there, and I think we'll answer questions afterwards. Now, this was done of her a few years ago, so it's like ancient history compared with what she's up to now, because that's somebody who takes her art into the real world and into the streets. So that's one of the offerings this evening at Real Q. That is the Gay and Lesbian International Film Festival here, and it ends on Sunday, I believe. So we're nearing an end. There's lots of wondrous kinds of movies to be seen. You can find out which ones by actually looking at Pittsburgh City Paper if you want, or you can look online at realq.org. It's like movie reel, REELQ.org.
In a world where the GOP presidential campaign was mind-numbingly long,
on next election day, you can say no to hope and change and choose the better way.
And the president revealed his true intentions.
If I tax each rich man, oh Solyndra, I could lend you all the cash.
Isn't it nice to know that you can laugh at all of them? Come see the Capitol Steps.
November 4th at the Byam Theater. Tickets on sale at trustarts.org and 412-456-6666.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
It's not.
Yes, it is. It's okay. All right. Oh, we're back. We're back. God, what a voice. Damn. So
your acting skills are
horrible. So, is there anything else? I mean, we got a whole 5 minutes or something here. Everything else I sort of brought in is political again, and I've so enjoyed not talking
about politics.
Politics, in fact. So,
unless there's something new to say, I mean, that's the thing. Another gaffe or another, but that's the other thing that's so boring in a sense of, like when you were and Chris were talking yesterday at the beginning of the yesterday's show, sort of you were rejoicing in that the president showed up. Yeah. But then it's like, he's going to trip someplace else in the next 2 weeks.
And this is the way I know.
Yeah, and
we're not talking about
central issues.
The issues. We're just waiting for
someone
about how
to
screw up.
They're gavat, and whether one was going to slug the other. And
right, that kind
that would have been great if they had planned, and all of a sudden the two started dancing above the dance. That would have been fabulous.
Wouldn't that have been wonderful?
I mean, to totally discombobulate everyone.
Well,
and
but
two men, they would never do that.
They would never do it because it would humanize the other.
Right.
Although tonight they will be thrown together again in an atmosphere in which
the date's not tonight.
Oh no, there's another thing they got to show up at tonight.
I know that. What is that?
And it's Cardinal Dolan's bash. This is the Al Smith dinner that is held every year. It's a big fundraiser for the diocese there, and it is. This didn't always happen. The I'm blanking on the Cardinal. Was it Egan before?
The last one, yeah.
Egan, and then whoever was before him refused to invite Clinton or.
Oh, because of abortion or something?
Yeah.
I didn't remember
or Kerry. Gore was invited. So what you usually have is right at the heat of, the heat of president,
right.
this thing is held, and it's a black tie affair, and it goes on forever and ever. And both of the candidates, Romney will be there tonight, and so will Obama.
But they don't speak.
They do speak.
Oh, they do?
And they make fun.
Oh, it's a roast.
They have to be funny. So after that, it's odd. After that
fisticuffs,
or
so to speak.
They will both be in their penguin suits, separated only, I believe, by the Cardinal at a table.
Oh, well, that should be fun since he's a real pip.
Yeah. And I don't know.
A Mormon, a Cardinal, and a black guy walk into a bar.
So Dolan's taken some crap for inviting Obama, for letting him come, given the fact that the Catholic Church is right now suing his government.
For the Obamacare thing.
Right, and also because of his stand on abortion and gay marriage and all of that. And so a lot of people say, how dare you ask him? He's against everything we stand for. And Dolan, I mean, I don't like the guy, but he at least said something that makes a lot of sense. He said, hey, if I don't sit down with people who disagree with me,
I'll never,
I'm going to be eating alone a lot.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to move anything forward.
And
so of course,
whatever, this gentleman is the president of the United States.
Hey, and Dolan's no fool because the biggest draw he'll have is Barack Obama. It sure as hell ain't Mitt Romney.
Oh, you know who will else be there? What's that revolting man who's from Pittsburgh? I think he was from Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes, he is. Donahue.
Oh, he is just so revolting.
He is he's a fascist.
Yeah.
Is what he is. He's a Catholic fascist.
The American Catholic.
Have you ever been in his sites?
No.
I have.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's something.
Oh, he's a pit bull.
He put something out on me. It was like a fatwa.
Really?
Well,
what
essentially,
had you
it's
said?
just fatwas. And I was on the radio at the time, and the Catholic newspaper here had an editorial about moi.
What did you say?
I said, so my car stopped in front of the Carnegie the other day on Forbes and Craig, and apparently the Catholic girls had just gotten out of their high school down the street. And I said, I just, it was an observation. I was blown away by the girls in their uniforms, and they had rolled their skirts.
Yes,
their skirts were up to, I mean, there was nothing. They might as well just have taken them. Right, they might as well have taken them off.
Yeah, right.
And the boys had gotten out of Central Catholic, and they were like sitting around at that plaza, and canoodling, to say the least. So I just mentioned this observation and then talked about, I said something about, I quoted Frank Zappa, who's one of his songs, Catholic girls at the CYO. Catholic girls, see how they go. I started having some fun. All hell.
Really?
All hell broke loose. The fatwa was
take her off the air.
Call all her advertisers. You tell them no Catholic in town is going to buy shoes at Lidl's, is going to buy windows from this one, is going to do this there. And so the station starts getting calls from freaked out advertisers who are getting deluged.
Really?
Yes. Oh, it was something.
I mean, because it wasn't like you said kill the Pope.
No!
You just mentioned
I was making fun of the Catholic girls and saying, and how I don't know. Who knows? I went off on a riff, and it was like I was the most anti-Catholic person in the universe. And, and I said, does it matter that my husband was a Catholic? Does it matter that I grew up in a town that was 90% Catholic? I'm practically an honorary Catholic. I went to Mass all the time.
The other side of it is, what does it say? And I'm sure all those girls weren't horny sluts, but does it say something that they felt the need because those skirts had to be down to their ankles in the school year. So the minute they get out, they didn't want to look like old maids, so they yank them up. I mean, that's what kids do. And what does that say about a school whose demeanor is, well, they were the ones, wasn't it the principal who said that you had to stand at the dance?
Yeah, you had a certain kind of dress.
Leave room for the Holy Spirit.
Yes, you did that. So I was having fun with that.
Yeah.
And it really was huge and went on for a long, and still there's people who, I was reminded just the other day that somebody said that I had a friend who, older man, he's well into his 80s, and he'd been at my home, I'd been at his home, and he was invited to, I believe, at my 50th birthday party. I had a 50th birthday party bash, and he didn't come. And I forgot he hadn't come. And the person said, don't you remember? He wouldn't come. He didn't talk to you for 2 years, didn't listen to you, had nothing to do.
Because of that? Oh,
because he was a good Catholic. And I once was doing some public thing for the mental health people in PPG Plaza, where I was manning a booth and doing things. Two or three Catholic old women walked by, and one of them saw me, and she started screaming at me in the middle. It was ugly. It was ugly. And that was that Donahue guy who went to town, plus the bishop here.
Oh, that horrible bishop with the dry look.
I'm not sure who it. Bevilacqua?
No.
Whirl, who's now the Cardinal in Washington.
Oh, he was so smooth.
I think it was Whirl who did the. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Well, for someone, listeners,
stunned.
putting our cards on the table, I was raised as a Catholic. I went to Catholic primary school, Catholic high school, and there were lots of nasty little things going on there. And I mean, it didn't ruin me. I learned lots of things, but I mean, anyone who goes on, that's just so stupid.
Yeah,
stupid.
And I do want to say that obviously I survived it, and I did not.
And you're stronger for it, as my mother used to say.
And I did not lose one advertiser. They stuck.
Good for them.
Me.
Good for you.
Which I was really.
Onward, Lynn Cullen.
I'll take on those Catholic soldiers marching as to war with the cross of Jesus.
Oh, very good.
Is that right?
Yes. Well, it's onward Christian soldiers.
I know, but I was just...
You were riffing.
I was riffing. Okay. I think we have to...
And before Donahoe calls us back...
What an evil little man. Okay, yes. And on that nice note, we end this edition.
Good day.
Tomorrow, Kathleen George, author, and I think Bill O'Driscoll's stopping by for a little bit, and I might be here too. Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.